I will start with the high table by introducing our Deputy Permanent Secretary, Dr. Katibu Kazungu. Please. We have also our Honorable Andre Avetsen, Ambassador of the Russian Federation to the United Republic of Tanzania, please. We have Mr. Plokov Sajel. Sorry if I misspelled that. He is the Deputy Director General of the General Department of International Legal Cooperation and Director of Organizational and Legal Department. Please welcome. We have also Professor Siba, who is the acting principal of the Law School of Tanzania. Professor, welcome. So let me also introduce the delegates from the Russian Federation, the Office of the Prosecutors General. And I will start with Mr. Timoshenko Andrew. He is the head of the Department of International Cooperation in the sphere of prosecutorial activity, representation and protection of interests of the Russian Federation in interstate bodies, and also foreign and international interstate courts. He's also responsible for foreign international mediation courts, arbitration of the University of Prosecutors Office of the Russian Federation. Please welcome. We have also Mr. Kunev Denis is the Director General of the General Organizational and Analytical Department and also Director of the Informational and Analytical Department. Please welcome. We have also Mr. Of course, he is also at the high table. I'll also, for this special introduction for the speakers, I'll go back again to Mr. Plokov Sajel. He's the Deputy Director General of the General Department of International Legal Cooperation and Director of Organizational Legal Department. They will be our key presenters today. With them, we have Miss Virginia. I'll skip the last word. It's a bit difficult. She is the prosecutor of the General Department of International Legal Cooperation. Please welcome Virginia. Dear guest of honor, we have also representatives from the board, the governing board of the school. We have Professor Hamudi Majamba. Professor, you're welcome. He is also a professor from the University of Dar es Salaam. Dear guest of honor, let me also introduce representative from the senior officers from the Ministry of Constitutional and Legal Affairs who are with us. Please, can you stand if you're here? We have also represented for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If you're around, please, can you stand up? I saw one here in the morning. Okay. We have also represented from the Ministry of Home Affairs. If you are here, please, you are welcome. We have representative from the institutions which are under the ministry. I'll just mention, if you are here, please, you can stand up. We have representation from RITA, please. We have also representation from National Prosecution Services. If you're around here, please, can you stand up? We have also represented from Office of the Attorney General. Yes, please, you're welcome. We have also represented from the Office of the Human Rights and Human Rights Commission and Good Governance. Are you around, please, if you can stand up? We have also represented from the Ministry of Finance. Please, if you are here, can you stand up? Dear guest of honor, let me also introduce you the management of the law school. We have Dr. Julius Mashamba. You're here. He's the deputy principal for training, research and consultants. We have other senior management and officers from heads and section from the law school. Please, if you are here, can you stand all together? We have Professor Koti Kamanga, who will be with us as a moderator for today's session. If you are here, please, alumni. Oh, thank you. Dear the guests of honor, invited guests, I think this is the end of my introduction. But if you are here and you have not been introduced, please, just, what's that? Oh, myself. I forgot to introduce myself. There's one more coming. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. We have Max, our dear Max, who can speak better Swahili than me, from Russian embassy in Tanzania. Please, welcome with us. Okay, myself, I'm called Professor Ambrose Kess. I'm the deputy principal for planning, finance, and administration at the law school. Karibuni, asante sana.
Thank you so much, Professor Casey. I'm glad that you have completed the exercise of introduction. Before we proceed, in the morning I told the students, myself I don't call them the students. These are advocates trainee, because they will soon be advocates. I hope so. In the morning I told you to sit at the back until you are told to come to the front. Now please, can you please fill these front chairs here? I've been told by the photographers that they cannot get good photos while some chairs are empty. So kindly come forward. Especially those who are at the back. You have been elevated to the front now. At the back, please. Even the other side. Tusogee hapa. Tujaze hizi hapa nafasi. At the back row, please. Let's fill the, except the front line. The front row, I mean. Pale, jazeni pale. Financial. Meanwhile, I would like to recognize the representative from the Financial Intelligence Unit. Kindly, you can wave to the Karibu sana. And members from the Tanganyika Law Society. Warmly welcome. Now I call upon the principal of the Law School of Tanzania, Professor Sisti Mramba, to say a word. Karibu.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Pindi Hasara Chana, the Minister for Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Your Excellency Ambassador Andrei Avestas, Ambassador of Russian Federation to Tanzania, Dr. Hatib Kazungu, Deputy Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Alex Mtulo, Deputy Solicitor General, representative from Human Rights Commission and Good Governance, who is present, representative from the Law Reform of Tanzania, representative from National Prosecution Office, representative from the Institute of Judicial Administration, representatives coming from Tanganyika Law Society, representatives of Regional Commissioner Dar es Salaam, present, Mr. Dennis Kunev, the Deputy Director General, Organization Analytical Department, Mr. Sergei Plokov, Director of Legal Services, Mr. Andrei Timoshenko, the Head of the Department of International Cooperation, Miss Evgenia, and you please forgive me for not mentioning the second name, but we are the prosecutor, a prosecutor from the Department of International Cooperation, management of the Ministry of Constitutional and Legal Affairs, members of the Board of Governance, or Governing Board present, members of the Law School of Tanzania from the management, distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, students of the Law School of Tanzania, I salute you all in the name of the United Republic of Tanzania. On behalf of the Law School of Tanzania, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this very important occasion. As the principal of the law school, I am proud to stand before you as I share the significance of this public lecture, which has been hosted by the Law School of Tanzania. The law school is a place for grooming and nurturing legal practitioners who serves in various sectors in our society. And the vision of the school stands as a center of high quality practical legal training and continuing legal education in Africa. And this is done through the provision of quality relevant practical legal training, research, consultancy in legal matters to relevant actors. Honorable Minister and Honorable Ambassador, the three lectures that we are about to participate in today, and which are going to be delivered by our guests from the Russian Federation, they do align with the vision and mission of our school. It is an opportunity to share professional experience that has been acquired in the course of our practice, and we shall have an opportunity to gain insights from our colleagues from the Russian Federation, from the Office of Prosecutor General. And this event is one of the mandates of the Law School of Tanzania to foster relationships with colleges and institutions, both nationally and internationally, as well as providing forum for professional discourse on matters relating to legal practice. Honorable Minister and Honorable Ambassador, the discussion on international cooperation in criminal matters hold profound significance in the real realm of law and practice. In an increasingly interconnected world where crimes transcend borders and jurisdictions, the need for critical analysis and reflection on the operation of all institutions and the systems that govern the operations in the various departments is very crucial. It does provide room for reflection, reforms, and forging necessary cooperation in the bid to combat criminal activities, which basically is imminent in current world patterns. The event, again, is an opportunity to share insights, best practices, and experiences in the field of international cooperation, particularly focusing on criminal matters, which includes new frontiers of crime, such as cyber threats, crypto crimes in the context of modern world. Honorable Minister and Honorable Ambassador, given the current global terrain on transnational crime and terrorism, the need for effective international cooperation cannot be overstated. By convening forums such as this, we not only deepen our understanding of these issues, but also pave the way for collaborative solutions that transcend borders and cultures. The school looks forward to continued cooperation with our colleagues from the Russian Federation in promoting joint initiatives, exchange programs, research collaborations, and enhanced collective efforts to advance legal education and promote justice. By pooling resources and expertise together, we can create a more conducive environment for learning, innovation, and excellence in the field of law. Honorable Minister and Honorable Ambassador, in my concluding remarks, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Russian delegation for joining us and all of our esteemed guests for accepting our invitation to participate in this very important occasion. I cordially invite you, therefore, to join in the discussions and contribute in the presentations that are going to be delivered by our colleagues. Let us, therefore, engage in meaningful dialogue, share our expertise and experiences, and also chart out a course towards a more promising future in the realm of law and justice. With those few remarks, I really appreciate. Thank you so much for participating in this very event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Asisti, for that good introductory remarks. Now, I'm great honored to call upon Your Excellency Ambassador from the Russian Federation to give remarks on this particular occasion.
Good morning. Habari za asubuhi. Dear Honorable Minister Pindi Chana, Minister of Legal and Constitutional and Legal Affairs of the United Republic of Tanzania. First of all, let me congratulate you with the acceptance of the budget of the ministry by the Parliament yesterday. It is a big step in your annual activities, and now you, I think, and all your colleagues at the ministry are encouraged to further work according to the plans that you drafted, and that these plans were accepted by the Parliament as the right way to move forward constitutional and legal affairs of your country. Second of all, I would like to thank Professor Mramba, Principal of the Law School of Tanzania, for hosting us today in this magnificent new building of the law school. And I briefly exchanged with my colleagues from General Prosecutor's Office in Moscow. They are also very much impressed by the way law is being taught in Tanzania. It shows how much importance is attached by the government to preparing, grooming future law leaders of Tanzania. Honorable Minister, I think that a big impetus to cooperation between Russia and Tanzania was given last November when you visited my country. Of course, Russia and Tanzania have been enjoying friendly and very close relations for decades, starting from the day of independence of Tanganyika, because my country was the first country that recognized the independence of Tanganyika the same day it was proclaimed in December 1960. The same went for the independence of Zanzibar, and of course, together with you, several days ago, we were happy to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the United Republic of Tanzania. Since then, even before the independence, actually, my country supported the struggle for independence by your people and your neighbors and Africa. The leader and the first president of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere, was a very good friend of my country, visited Russia, and since then, after this very solid foundation was laid by our leaders back in the beginning of the 60s, we've been building and further strengthening our bilateral relations. And it is only natural that now we are widening these relations, we are deepening them. I must admit that, for example, our trade and economic relations are not as active as our politically friendly relations. And we want to further promote them, promote people-to-people contacts, because this is the most important thing for peoples of different countries to know each other better. And we are very happy about the policy of economic openness, creating the friendly environment for investors that is carried out by President Samia Suluhu Hassan and her government. We encourage Russian business, Russian investors to come to Tanzania. And of course, we are encouraged and welcome, together with our Tanzanian friends, Russian tourists who know and love Tanzania, especially Zanzibar. And we are expecting the number of these tourists to grow. I'm mentioning all this to underline the importance of legal cooperation. The more exchanges, the more active relations we have bilaterally, the more important legal cooperation is, to understand each other's legal system, to know each other's laws better, to help each other to navigate through sometimes difficult systems, difficult and different systems in our two countries. Legal cooperation is becoming more important now, together with the general development of our relations. That is why in the beginning I mentioned the visit that Honorable Minister had last November to Russia. And it was, I think it was the first visit of this kind for many, many years. And the success of this visit showed that it was expected, it was due, it was very timely. Madam Minister had very successful negotiations with the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation, during which they discussed modern threats such as terrorism, as well as growing criminal trends in the information and digital dimension, especially associated with the circulation of cryptocurrencies. All these require closer bilateral cooperation. Also, they discussed widening interaction between the agencies that would allow to enhance work on protecting citizens' rights and preventing other types of crimes. As a part of the visit, the first of this kind, agreement on cooperation between the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation and the Ministry of Constitutional and Legal Affairs of Tanzania was signed. Also, Madam Minister had successful and fruitful negotiations with the Minister of Justice of the Russian Federation, and she also signed the Memorandum of Understanding between these two ministries. Russia is ready to continue expanding bilateral ties in legal affairs, now using these two documents that I mentioned, but also we are looking forward to further legal bilateral documents that can be signed very soon, and we are expecting Honorable Minister to visit Russia again next June because she kindly accepted our invitation to participate in the annual St. Petersburg International Legal Forum, which is to be held in the end of June. And during this forum, we expect that two more treaties, draft treaty on extradition and on transfer of sentenced persons to serve sentences between Russian Federation and the United Republic of Tanzania, these we are expecting to be signed there. It will move forward, further forward, our legal cooperation. And today, also a very special event we are having. For the first time, we have lecturers, prominent prosecutors from Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation here in Dar es Salaam to introduce you to concrete practice, concrete cases that our guests see important also for legal practice in Tanzania and important for our bilateral cooperation. We already had a brief discussion with Madam Minister and the principal of the law school about making such lectures regular, about establishing cooperation between the law school of Tanzania and Russian law schools and universities. If you find this new practice interesting, then we can see the possibility of regular exchanges of students and professors and close cooperation between our legal schools, legal systems that will all only help our general good and friendly relations be even better and closer. I wish the success of today's lectures. I'm sure it will be useful for students and guests from different ministries and public offices of Tanzania. And again, if you find it interesting, we can make it a system, a regular thing. Thank you, and I wish you an interesting day today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency Ambassador Andreat. It was not only an introductory remark, but I found it to be a lecture because some of the students were taking notes. And I saw Professor Majamba was taking notes. Thank you very much, Excellency Ambassador. But I will not allow them to ask questions now. Now, all protocol observed, I humbly call upon Dr. Hatib Kazungu, Permanent Secretary, to say a word and to welcome the Honorable Minister for opening.
Honorable Minister, Ambassador Dr. Pindichana, Your Excellency Ambassador Andrei, Ambassador of the Russian Federation of Tanzania, all protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. Honorable Minister, my role here is very, very small, and of course, to invite you to address this distinguished community. Ambassador Dr. Pindichana, our Minister, welcome.
Na wasalimu kwa salamu ya jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Wanasheria mjambo? Mko salama? Asante, muda unakwenda, natamani tungekuwa na siku mbili. Ngoja tuone. Excellency Ambassador Andrei Avetisius, Ambassador of Russian Federation to Tanzania. Allow me also to recognize our Deputy Permanent Secretary, Dr. Kazungu, in presence. He's here together with us. I'm told also we have representatives from the Office of Director of Public Prosecution. I would like to recognize their presence. Professor Sistem Ramba, Principal Law School of Tanzania. But also we have our Deputy Administrator General Irene Lusulie from RITA, representative from Human Rights Commission and Good Governance, representative also from NPS office, maybe in Dar es Salaam, representative from the Institute of Judicial Administration, representative from Regional Commissioner's Office, Dar es Salaam. Allow me also to recognize Denis Kunev, Deputy Director General, Organization Analytical Department from Russia, Mr. Sergei Plahov, Director of Legal Service, Andrei Timoshenko, Head of the Department of International Cooperation, Evgenia, Prosecutor, Department of International Cooperation, Management of the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs, Management of the Law School of Tanzania, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, but together with us, we are with our potential advocates. I'm told they're not students, they're potential advocates. Hongereni sana. And allow me to recognize moderators. Today we are with Professor Majamba, who is also Deputy Chair of our Board of Law School of Tanzania, asante sana. But also in presence is Professor Koti Kamanga. These are the gurus of law in United Republic of Tanzania. Makofi mengi sana kwao. Through them, I'm sure many people have passed through their hands. You all understand, those who are coming from University of Dar es Salaam, including me. So we need to appreciate. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana kwa kazi kubwa mnayoifanyia taifa kwa kweli. So kwa mara nyingine na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Thank you. Honorable Ambassador and the whole delegation from Russian Federation, welcome to Tanzania. Allow me to express greetings from Her Excellency, our President, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, who understands that this morning we are here at law school. So Her Excellency, express greetings from State House. Makofi mengi jamani. So once again, welcome to Tanzania, a nation proud of its rich culture heritage and also committed to the rule of law and justice. Today, as we gather here at the Law School of Tanzania, it is with great honor and sincere appreciation that I extend my heartfelt welcome to each of you. This event sincerely marks a significant opportunity to celebrate and deepen our international legal cooperation, enhancing our mutual understanding and cooperation in law. Just as Ambassador mentioned, we do have cooperation in many areas, and most of these areas, including trade, economic diplomacy, tourism, we need to understand our legal systems in our respective countries. So, distinguished delegates, let me begin by extending our deepest gratitude for your delegation's remarkable hospitality during our visit to your distinguished country around December 12 to 16, 2023. Your excellent planning and warm reception provided a rich and insightful experience, highlighting the strength and awareness of your legal system and culture heritage. So before we dwell into the specifics of today's program, let me introduce you to the Ministry of Constitution and Legal Affairs of Tanzania, under which I'm privileged to serve. This ministry is vital in shaping our country's legal landscape. We are tasked with overseeing all constitutional process, the administration of justice and legal affairs. Our mission is to uphold the rule of law, enhance public legal awareness, ensure effective governance, and foster the protection of human rights. Through reforms initiatives, policy development, and active engagement in legal matters, the ministry seeks to strengthen the foundation of justice and equity in our society. Distinguished delegates, in line with the ministry's effort, the Law School of Tanzania is the cornerstone of our legal vocational training in Tanzania. So Law School of Tanzania is very, very important institution, which was established in around 2007 under Section 4, Part 1 of the Law School of Tanzania Act, Cap 425. It remains the sole institution in mainland Tanzania dedicated to equipping LLB students with the practical skills necessary to practice law effectively. The school has proudly enrolled 38 cohorts amounting to 17,782 students to date who have embarked on various training programs emphasizing hands-on learning and real-world legal experience through field placements. Distinguished delegate, 3 years of solid leadership of Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, our President of United Republic of Tanzania, these three years has witnessed significant improvement in the rule of law, issues of good governance, and administration of justice. We can all witness that. We will have time to discuss. We had a committee kwenye masuala ya haki jinai. Si mnafahamu Rais wetu amefanya mambo mengi sana makubwa kwa upande wetu na yajayo ni neema tele. What is happening today is a testimony of Her Excellency's 4R. Now we focus on reconciliation, resilience, reform, and rebuilding. distinguished delegates, today we are honored to host a series of enlightening presentations from your esteemed delegation on the following critical topic, I'm told. There will be a topic on organizing of activity of the Russian Prosecutorial Authority. There will be a topic on topical directions of international legal cooperation of the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation in the context of modern threats and challenges, but also there will be a topic on Russian experience of combating turnover of cryptocurrency used to commit crimes. So it is very healthy to exchange experience, to understand what is happening in one side of the world. So thanks for this very meeting here today, and I'm sure we will be having a lot of such visiting lecturers from Russia and many parts. Distinguished delegates, during my visit to Russia, apart from signing the agreement, I had an opportunity to have tete-a-tete with Prosecutor General of Russian Federation, Mr. Igor Kranov. Please express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation. We say thank you very much. And also Minister of Justice of the Russian Federation, Konstantin Chuichenko. And we agreed in principle our ministries and institutions should start to cooperate. And here today we see the implementation. Asante sana na makofi mengi. Our President, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, in one of her 4 R's, is rebuilding. And that is what we are doing here today, rebuilding. Our two nations had a historical diplomatic cooperation, just as Ambassador Andrei mentioned before, yet we need this kind of reform. Let me take this opportunity to innovate more and develop ideas in collaboration. Distinguished delegates, following these presentations, I eagerly anticipate engaging with you in a robust discussion on potential areas of cooperation that could include joint training initiative, issues of cyber security, the creation of adaptable legal framework for new technologies and culture, and legal exchange program. These discussions are not merely academic, but vital for crafting adequate responses to the legal challenges today and tomorrow. So it is very healthy. Distinguished delegates, let today serve as a platform for building lasting partnership and reinforcing our commitment to justice and the rule of law between our two countries. Together, through shared knowledge and mutual support, we can forge a future where justice is not confined by borders, but upheld universally across our countries. We need human rights all over. We need to stop crime everywhere. So we need cooperation everywhere. We say asante sana. Distinguished guests, thank you again for your attention. And let me say, members of the delegation of the Office of the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation, thank you for your presence and participation. Let us move forward with open heart and minds towards fruitful discussion and enduring collaboration. I say asante sana and spasiba vam большое. Oh, I hereby announce that our discussion, meeting, lecture is officially opened. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, Ambassador Dr. Pindi Hazarchana, for the profound speech. And we also thank you very much for opening these particular occasions formally Now, before we go to the session, I would like all to go for a group photo. And then when we come back, I will introduce you to the moderator and the discussants. And at the end of the session, Honorable Dr. Kazungu will give a closing remark. Thank you very much. Sorry. Okay, thank you very much. I'm told that because of time, we can proceed. And now I would like to, organizers, can you please arrange for the table now, specifically for the president.
Na lecture hii inafanya mengi mashirikiano tunayo katika kujifunza kutoka kwa nchi moja na nyingine, masoezi mashirikiano kanuni inasaidia sana. Sisi wanasheria tunaposema kuzingatia haki za binadamu, kimsingi hilo ni jambo la maeneo yote, na maana na au nyingine ya uhalifu. Sasa badilika kila itwapo leo, wahalifu wana styling, lakini sisi pamoja na nchi mbalimbali ikiwemo Urusi pia tunahitaji tuingie kwenye makubaliano. Endapo mtu amefanya uhalifu katika nchi X anakimbilia Y, na utaratibu muomba yule mhalifu katika nchi Y, utaratibu wa kumuomba yule mhalifu kule ambako jambo lilitokea. Kwa hiyo kama nilivyoripoti jana pale bungeni, tumekuwa na mikataba mingi sana ya masuala ya
yani walioko Urusi wanakuja huko wanajifunza, na sisi tunakwenda kule tunajifunza na pia hata kusoma kama alivyosema Mheshimiwa Waziri. Urusi imekuwa ikitoa msaada kwa kuwasomesha vijana wengi sana wa Tanzania toka tulipata uhuru.
Federation is divided into city and district prosecutor's offices. Within the prosecutor's offices there are departments with special powers, These include Chief Military Prosecutor's Office, which supervises legality in the country's armed forces. Its structure includes 10 processes of military districts and marine fleets. Specialized prosecutor's office also include environmental and transport prosecutor's office, and the total staff size of the prosecution bodies of Russia is 55,000 people. To become a prosecutor, a person must be, first of all, a citizen of the Russian Federation and have a higher legal education from a state-recognized university. It may be our agency's university or any other legal university. There are several such universities in Russia in different cities. Promotion from district to central office is based primarily on performance and competence. However, experience in the previous position is usually required for promotion to the next level. All prosecutors are required to complete systematic training to improve their skills in our university, first of all, agency universities. To this end, the Russian Prosecutor General's office has established and successfully operates a university with branches in 7 cities of our country, and my colleague later will speak about it more detailed. Appointment to lower level management position is possible upon reaching the age of 27 and 5 years of experience in the prosecutor's field. For regional prosecutors, age of 30 and 7 years experience respectively. The Prosecutor General and his deputies are appointed and dismissed by the President of the Russian Federation after consultation with Upper House of the Russian Parliament, Council of the Federation. Over the course of more than 3 centuries, prosecution authorities of Russia have developed a wide range of powers. An important area of the prosecutor's activities is protection of the state economic interests. Prosecutors are empowered to seek compensation through administrative, civil, and arbitration proceedings. The prosecutor's office plays a central role in the implementation of the national state anti-corruption policy. We are competent to carry out relevant inspection checks to detect corrupt income of unexplained origin. Among our powers are a number of other areas of great importance to the country. For example, we take measures to prohibit terrorist and extremist organizations and prevent them from operating in Russia. We demand the extrajudicial blocking of internet resources containing illegal and fake information in internet net. We monitor compliance with the law by detention facilities, oversee the work of all the country's investigative bodies, have the right to overturn their decisions, and once investigations are complete, refer criminal cases to the courts where we represent a state in the prosecution. We consider our human rights function of monitoring respect for human and civil rights and freedoms to be the most important part of our work. For many years in our history, we have enjoyed one of the highest level of public confidence among state structures. For example, last year alone, we received more than 6 million applications from citizens asking for help on a wide range of issues. Protecting the right of vulnerable groups, first of all, such as minors, disabled people, elderly, large families, and so on. Of citizens' labor and housing rights also. To this end, we have the right to defend such citizen in court. For example, by bringing cases to ensure that orphans are provided with free housing by the state. You see, dear colleagues, how wide is the competence of prosecutors in Russia. Undoubtedly, we need considerable powers to implement them, and we have them. For example, we have the right to send binding acts to state bodies and officials, warning them of violations of the law, and if they have been committed, to demand that they be eliminated. We also have the right to demand the cancellation of an unlawful act, regardless of who that the investigative bodies initiate criminal prosecutions, to file lawsuits to the courts, to recognize actions of official unlawful, to participate in court proceedings that affect the interest of the state, and to is by no means a complete list of our powers. In order to exercise them properly and to ensure legislature, which I would also like to describe, and the treatment, but also meals for employees and their families, and reimburses the full cost of travel to the resort by any means of transport. During the period of service, prosecutors are entitled to attend postgraduate studies for the purpose of defending an academic degree, after which a special salary supplement is established. Upon reaching 20 years of service, prosecutors are entitled to a preferential pension, but if they continue to work, they receive 50% of their state pension in addition to their salary. The retirement age is 65 years, but 70 years annually by decision of Prosecutor General. The Russian Prosecutor General's office has a centuries-old history, and the full range of its power has developed gradually. As a result, a unique model of a modern state body has been created. It's impossible to cover all areas of our work, and I have deliberately not touched upon issues of international cooperation or the capabilities of our agency university. My colleagues will talk about them. To conclude the first statement, I would like to say that despite the fact that the Russian prosecutor's office has been in existence for 302 years, we are not only preserving our traditions, but also keeping up with the time. We are actively engaged in the digitalization of prosecutorial activities, introducing modern technologies in our work, analytical models, and crime forecasting centers into our work with the help of artificial intelligence. In general, I hope you have a general impression about our agency, and especially for you, we have prepared a short video for about 8 minutes about the Russian prosecutor's office, and I suggest you watch it if you don't mind. And before continue our event, I would like to give you important information to inform you that all participants of our lectures who are participating here today will be awarded special certificates. in English for completely the for completing the training courses. We have prepared them for you. This is an official document signed and stamped by a rector of our university, and we will get them after our event. And now I ask to turn video. Thank you.
Hajamaliza bado. Oh, my apologies. Прошу прощения, прошу.
For more than 300 years, the Russian Prosecution Service has been a major law enforcement and human rights public body, representing a unique model of an agency with broad supervisory powers. The legal status of Russia's prosecution service is enshrined in the country's constitution and a special federal law. The uniqueness of the prosecution service lies in the fact that it doesn't fall under any of the governmental branches and represents a single centralized system with subordination of low-level prosecutors to superior ones and the Prosecutor General. The highest level of the agency is the Prosecutor General's office, which consists of general departments, divisions, and the Chief Military Prosecutor's office. There is a system of class ranks within the prosecution service, from jurist to state councillors of justice. The class rank of the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation is actual state councillor of justice. The Prosecutor General and his deputies are appointed by the President of the Russian Federation upon consultation with the upper house of the Russian Parliament. A similar procedure is provided for appointing prosecutors of constituent entities of the Russian Federation, with the following specialized prosecutors' offices enjoying equal status: 3 environmental and 8 transport, as well as 11 military and naval prosecutors' offices. However, the largest section of the prosecution service is represented by city and district prosecutors' offices located all over the country. The Russian prosecution service employs a total of 55,000 people. The main function of the prosecution service is to supervise the observance of the Constitution on behalf of the state, and to execute laws having legal force throughout the entire country. One of the most important functions in the prosecutor's work is to protect human rights, which is carried out by supervising all authorities and their officials, including those in the government of the Russian Federation, to ensure that they are observing human rights and freedoms, especially those of socially vulnerable groups such as minors, people with disabilities, the elderly, and multi-child families. Special attention is paid to protecting citizens' labor and housing rights, and the legitimate interests of the business community, as well as to ensuring consistency in the legality of budget spending and tariff setting, including electric power and water use. As part of their daily activities, prosecutors receive citizens and promptly respond to reports of violations of the law. At the same time, appeals can also be submitted through on-site and electronic reception offices or via public services websites. There are approximately 5 million appeals a year. Prosecutors restore the rights of a significant number of citizens every year, at no cost and in a timely manner. The powers of the prosecution service also include supervising compliance with environmental laws, ensuring transport safety, and countering customs violations. Its supervisory authority also extends to the military-industrial complex and compliance with laws at specially protected facilities, as well as the Baikonur complex. The Prosecutor General's office plays a key role in implementing government policies for countering corruption. An international youth social anti-corruption advertising competition entitled Together Against Corruption is held annually, whose results are traditionally released on December the 9th, International Anti-Corruption Day. Work aimed at combating extremism and terrorism is carried out, which includes banning the activities of extremist and terrorist organizations and blocking relevant internet resources throughout the Russian Federation. This procedure generally takes from 3 to 24 hours. A significant part of the prosecutor's work involves overseeing how bodies that carry out special investigative techniques and investigate criminal cases apply the law. It is the prosecutor who checks the lawfulness of initiating criminal cases, verifies other key procedural decisions, determines whether they are brought before a court of law, and conducts public prosecution in courts. The Russian Prosecution Service coordinates the activities of all law enforcement authorities in the fight against crime. Another area of work is overseeing administrations of penitentiary institutions to ensure their compliance with the law cannot defend their rights themselves. One of the Prosecution Service's activities is international legal cooperation. Russia's Prosecutor General's Office is the central authority in matters involving extradition and for providing legal assistance in criminal cases and administrative cases at the pre-trial stage. It also assists law enforcement, including in issues falling outside the field of criminal law. It represents and protects the interests of the Russian Federation in interstate bodies, as well as foreign and international courts and arbitrations, including the rights of athletes in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. In addition, it participates in developing international treaties for combating crime and organizes the work of all authorized agencies in recovering criminally derived assets from abroad. Representatives of the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation take part in government delegations that represent the Russian Federation in the Financial Action Task Force, the Eurasian Group on Combating Money Laundering and the Financing of Terrorism, the Global Network of Anti-Corruption Authorities, and other various fora, including those within the United Nations. By maintaining direct contact with the competent authorities of other countries, international bodies and organizations, the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation concludes agreements, memoranda, cooperation programs, and other international agreements therewith. There are more than 140 agreements in force as of today. The Russian Prosecution Service system has its own university with branches in 6 cities around the country, with its own material resources, as well as academic and practical publications. It provides staff training as well as advanced training courses for prosecutors, including foreign ones, and conducts extensive research work. The structure of the University of the Prosecutor's Office of the Russian Federation includes a research institute whose advanced developments have been used in practice to improve the work related to ensuring law and order for more than 60 years. The university concludes its own international agreements with foreign educational organizations and has an exchange program for professors, students, and scientific delegations. The superiors of the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation pay particular attention to sports and patriotic education and run sports and athletic competitions aimed at maintaining team cohesion and the continuity of generations. Since 2022, all Russian archery tournaments have been held for the Cup of the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation. The Russian Prosecution Service, within its competence, is open to cooperation with foreign colleagues on any issues of mutual interest. For more than 300 years, the Russian Prosecution Service.
Kwa mara nyingine asante sana Denis Anatolievich. Второй раз огромное спасибо. Tunamsikiliza sasa hivi Sergei Vladimir Plahov, ni mwanasheria mwenzetu, pia ni mtaalamu wa kutafsiri, translation and interpretation. Ni kama msemaji aliyopita, naye amesoma vyuo vikuu muhimu sana kwenye mambo ya prosecution Urusi, Saratov, na tumeambiwa hapa kwamba pia ni naibu mkurugenzi mkuu idara ya sheria. Welcome, please.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Honorable Ambassador Dr. Pindi Hazarachana, Your Excellency Professor Mramba, ladies and gentlemen, estimated colleagues, good morning. HABARI asubuhi. First of all, let me start with expressing my gratitude for a wonderful organization of this event, for the warm welcome, your hospitality and friendliness. You made us feel home. Secondly, let me please congratulate you on the Union Day, which has been celebrated recently. I wish all the people of your country happiness and prosperity. As for this conference, it's an honor to me for me to take the floor in front of such high estimated audience. At the Prosecutor General's office, I'm responsible for international cooperation, and today I will tell you how this activity has developed in recent years and what topical directions of international cooperation wake in today's reality. So, for more than 3 centuries, the Russian prosecution service has been fulfilling major state functions, the most important of which are the supervision over accurate and unified execution of laws, coordination of activity of law enforcement authorities, and prosecution. And during these activities, prosecutors had been facing foreign elements and actors which predeterminate the development of international cooperation. In contemporary history, after collapse of the Soviet Union and formation of the Russian Federation as a legal successor of the Union, international legal powers of the prosecution service have been developing and expanding, as well as the divisions responsible for the fulfillment of such powers. The following stages demonstrate this development. Please take a look. Before 1996, all international legal of the Prosecution General Office, which was generally limited to protocol functions and making requests for MLA, was carried out by just one division with 7 officials. In 1996, the International Legal Department of 12 officials was created. In 10 years, in 2006, it was reorganized into the General Department of International Legal Cooperation, consisting of 3 departments and comprising 77 officials. And at the same time, protocol functions were conveyed to a different division. Until now, they are fulfilled separately. And today, considering the expansion on functions of the General Department of International Legal Cooperation, it consists of 4 departments and 2 self-regulated divisions, comprising 142 officials. Apart from traditional international cooperation powers, in the criminal law sphere, Russian prosecution service execute another powers. Constructively, 3 blocks of international legal powers can be highlighted, and you can see these 3 blocks on the screen. Powers in the criminal law sphere, outside the criminal law sphere, and of general nature. Among directions of the international cooperation in the criminal law sphere, the following should be stressed out. First of all, extradition and related issues of international search. And it is important to note that the Prosecutor General or his deputy decides on extradition himself without a court decision. The next is transfer of persons with psychological disorders for compulsory treatment. The procedure is the same. Rendering legal assistance in criminal matters, including transfer of criminal proceedings. And coordination of activity of law enforcement authorities in asset recovery, as well as in implementation of international anti-criminal treaties. As to the coordination of asset recovery activities, I will go into some details, while other powers in the criminal law sphere are quite standard for the majority of countries, so I will not pay special attention to them during this presentation. In our country, when we talk about asset recovery, we stick to a system-based approach, taking effective preventive measures to prohibit illegal withdrawal of assets. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, the criminal scheme of asset withdrawal using court decision became dangerously widespread. A non-resident sued a fictitious debt from Russian company, received a court decision and presented it to the bank, which could not refuse to execute it. To prevent such attempts, prosecutors enter into court process. And if the judicial act has already taken place, they seek its revision according to newly discovered circumstances, presenting evidence to the court about the real intent of actions of the participants of the dispute to legalize illegal income. And thanks to these measures taken by the prosecutor's office, the number of such facts was significantly reduced. However, if despite of the measures taken, assets were withdrawn abroad, a complicated process of their recovery is initiated. This process consists of such stages as the detection, search of assets, their seizure, confiscation, recognition of domestic court decision in requested state, and finally, factual trans-border transfer of assets. For the recent years, we have taken several organizational measures to raise the effectiveness of the process of asset recovery. In 2020, the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation, by his order, approved a sequential algorithm of actions of prosecutors at all levels on each stage of this activity, from the very search of assets abroad to taking the final court decision and its execution. In order to coordinate the activity of other ministries, agencies and organizations, the Interagency Working Group was created. It comprises representatives of 17 governmental bodies and organizations dealing with the asset recovery process. Leading scientists who deal with this activity also take part at the meeting of this working group. The group develops and improves legal framework, including at international level, provides for analytics, prepares guidelines for investigators and prosecutors, and discusses concrete asset recovery cases to find better solution. Moreover, last year an interagency instruction on the organization of asset recovery activity was adopted by 13 governmental bodies involved on the asset recovery process. This document contains precise mechanism of interaction between all bodies and organizations on this issue. And of course, we are ready to share all these achievements in written if you have such an interest. Organizational measures are taken not only on domestic but also on external, international level. We have prepared a practical step-by-step guide on asset recovery for the foreign competent authorities. It on legal regulation of this process in Russia. It also has all necessary data and practical advice for foreign agencies on how to draft a request, subject to contains information of our legal system. This document was refreshed last year and published in the Russian and English languages on our official website as well as the UNODC webpage. For 14 years, on the basis of the Prosecutor General's Office, the National Contact Point, focal point on practical international cooperation on the search, seizure, confiscation and recovery of the proceeds from the corruption has been functioning. Recently, a decision to create such focal point net on asset recovery between the BRIC states has been taken, and on behalf of the Russian Federation, it will be also the Prosecutor General's Office. It should be noted that our achievements in asset recovery were positively recorded upon the second review cycle of the mechanism for the review of the implementation of the United Nations Convention against Corruption. There are also specific practical results. As of today, 45 immovable property objects and financial assets was $400 million were seized by the foreign competent authorities on the basis of our MLA requests. Last year, for the first time, we initiated seizure of cryptocurrency on Binance virtual accounts that keep assets of the criminal community members who created so-called pyramid for stolen people's money. We have several examples of factual recovery of assets to Russia from foreign jurisdiction, as well as the vice versa process on asset recovery from Russia. Unfortunately, today international anti-criminal cooperation is complicated by a destructive position of number of states and international organizations. It causes new problems that affect the process of asset recovery. Among them are following. First, Western countries attempt to use confiscation mechanism for the sake of political environment and in circumvention the procedural requirements of international law. They just appropriate our assets, the assets of our state, our citizens and organizations without legitimate grounds. Second, for the last 2 years, we face politically motivated restrictions of participation of Russian delegations in several international fora on asset recovery. And third is the refusal of some jurisdictions to cooperate and exchange information, including for execution of MLA requests. But we strongly believe that politicization of law enforcement cooperation leads to impunity of criminals. In our point of view, it's inadmissible. At the same time, Russian prosecution service continues to fully implement its international obligations and stay open for a faithful and equal dialogue with foreign partners all over the world. Dear colleagues, we have examined the powers in the criminal law sphere, and now let me switch to other directions. Outside the criminal law sphere, the Russian prosecution service executes the following international legal powers. First, rendering legal assistance in administrative offense cases, including transfer of administrative proceedings. Unlike the crimes, administrative offenses in our country are characterized by lower level of social danger, including when actions of offenders did not lead to consequences needed for corpus delicti. I'll give you some examples. For example, stealing of inexpensive items, traffic accidents, possession of narcotic drugs in a very small amount without purpose of sale, and so on. Since our legal system does not provide for criminal liability of legal entities or organizations, they can be brought to administrative responsibility also, even when we talk about very serious offenses. For example, intentionally offering, promising, or giving money, securities, and other property or property services to an official on behalf of a legal entity. So in these cases, we also use the mutual legal assistance as the competent authority. The next power is international law enforcement assistance. Opposite to judicial or legal assistance, which is regulated by international treaties and aims to obtain evidence in criminal matters, law enforcement assistance aims to exchange guiding information and documents. It is regulated not only by international treaties, but also by interagency agreements, as we have with Tanzanian partners, which usually have reservations saying that provisions of these agreements do not interfere with MLA. Law enforcement assistance is often used when dealing with applications of citizens and organizations, conducting supervisory inspections without criminal proceedings, requesting information on legislation of foreign countries, exchanging experience and best practices. We also use law enforcement cooperation to send copies of criminal case materials and report crime in order to initiate criminal prosecution abroad. And one of the areas where we often use law enforcement assistance is anti-corruption activity. Russian legislation provides for a number of anti-corruption prohibition and restrictions for public officials. For instance, public officials must declare all real estate property and transport means they own, including those that are located abroad. High-level Russian public officials are also prohibited from having foreign citizenship, foreign bank accounts, foreign securities, and other financial instruments. And if a person violates these prohibitions, he or she is subject to dismissal upon the loss of trust. No doubt that such prohibition and obligations alone are the very good preventive measures to help reduce possibility of withdrawal of the proceeds from crime abroad. In order to control execution of these requirements by legislation, empowers Prosecutor General's office to make requests abroad and to interact with the foreign competent authorities. At the same time, in Russia, violation of this prohibition does not lead to criminal liability. That is why we are not talking about mutual legal assistance. In these cases, we use law enforcement cooperation, referring in our request to our arrangements or agreements with our foreign partners, as well as international treaties, for example, to Article 43 of the UN Convention Against Corruption, which states that where appropriate and consistent with the domestic legal system, states parties shall consider assisting each other in nations and proceedings in civil and administrative matters relating to corruption. We have established a good practice of such cooperation with colleagues from all over the world. And information we get from abroad allows us to dismiss public officials, to forfeiture their property to the state budget, and in case where is corpus delicti, for example, elements of bribery, to make them criminally responsible. Outside the criminal law sphere, the Russian prosecution service represents and protects the interests of Russian Federation in interagency bodies, foreign and international courts and arbitrations. This power was granted to the prosecution service just in summer 2021. Previously, it was fulfilled by now mainly by the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Sport, and Ministry of Economical Development. As you know from the previous video presentation, the Prosecutor General's Office is the main human rights watchdog in Russia. We have a full set of legal tools and supervise over the activity of governmental, municipal bodies, organizations, and their officials. And that is why transmitting this power to our service from other stakeholders help to improve the effectiveness of such activities. Having this power, the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation has a unique competence to represent and protect the interests of Russia in such international judicial bodies at the Court of Eurasian Economic Union and in the Economic Court of the Commonwealth of Independent States. We also select and provide nominees for judges at these courts, withholding necessary contest procedures. As to international arbitration, it's well known that it's one of the alternative ways to tackle down disputes. The arbitration can be created for a specific dispute, so-called ad hoc arbitration, or as a permanent institution, institutional arbitration. Generally, the basis for jurisdiction of arbitration is an arbitration agreement between the parties or a reservation to an international treaty. As a rule, agreements on protection and promotion of investments contain provisions for a specific dispute, handling disputes between investor and the state by international commercial arbitrations. When Russia is a party of any international dispute, we represent our country in trial. And there is only one exception, the participation in the International Court of Justice, which is a competence of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. For example, we represent now the interests of the country in international arbitration at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, International Court of Arbitration in the International Chamber of Commerce in Paris, Arbitration Institute of the Stockholm Chamber, and the Chamber of Commerce, and Vienna International Arbitration Center. For these ends, we coordinate the activity of a great number of federal public authorities and local administration bodies. It should be noted that Russia is a party to the New York Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards of 1958, according to which 172 states parties to the convention are obliged to recognize and enforce arbitral awards, despite the fact whether they are taken by an ad hoc arbitration or a permanent arbitration. That is why this direction of our activity is very important. We also participate in international sport, judicial and disciplinary bodies, where we deal with the cases connected with the protection of interests of our sportsmen and sport organizations. And now the third block of powers, which relate both to criminal law sphere and to activity outside the criminal law sphere. It's the establishment, maintenance, development, and coordination of direct relations between the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation and foreign competent authorities, as well as international organizations. These powers are executed through participation in international events and holding them, permanent participation and activity of international organizations, drafting international treaties, and conclusion of international arrangements, including agreements, memorandums, declarations, cooperation programs with the foreign competent authorities and international organizations. So let me elaborate on each of them. First of all, international events. Last year, Prosecutor participated in more than 550 international events, and the activity level grew more than 50%. Some novelties introduced by us help to raise the activity in this sphere. First, apart from the headquarters of the Prosecutor General's Office, subordinate prosecutor offices were engaged in the international activity. In particular, last 2 years, arrangement on border steering cooperation with the colleagues from Kazakhstan and China were concluded. The Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation published instructions and guidelines that oblige prosecutors of border trading territories to actively implement their functions aimed at the establishment and development of direct ties with foreign colleagues in concrete forms and spheres. As a result, last year a number of international events with the participation of these prosecutions services raised fivefold. Secondly, permanent joint working groups for close cooperation on specific issues were formed with the competent authorities of a number of foreign states. For example, there is working group with the Prosecutor General's Office of Mongolia, and it is on exchange information on environmental crimes. There is also the working group on combating crime with the Prosecutor General's Office of Iran. There is a working group of investigating genocide against the Soviet people during the Great Patriotic War with the Prosecutor General's Office of Belarus. There are also anti-corruption working groups with another foreign special bodies, and so on. And thirdly, we took measures for breakthrough development of cooperation in research and educational sphere. In particular, the Prosecutor General's Office concluded special international arrangements in this sphere, as well as the University of the Prosecutor General's Office, increased the quote for advanced training of foreign prosecutors. As a result, the geographical scope of implementation of training programs has been raised. Since 2022, at the direction of foreign competent authorities, foreign students started to study at our university in the higher education programs. We took measures to carry out academic exchange and joint scientific research, and holding lectures abroad like this one is also one of our novelty. In addition to presentations during international events, prosecutors systematically participate in the work of international organizations. In the framework of the Commonwealth of Independent States, Russian Prosecutor General was elected for a post of a chairman of the Coordination Council of the Prosecutor General and for a post of the chairman of Interstate Council Against Corruption. Representatives of the Russian Prosecution Service permanently participate in the steering committee of the Global Operation Network of Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Authorities, GLOBE, the regional anti-corruption net of law enforcement bodies within the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Anti-Corruption and Transparency Expert Working Group, the Russian official delegations for participation in the meetings of Financial Action Task Force, and different United Nations formats, for example, Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, Commission on International Trade Law, Conference the State Parties to the UN Convention Against Corruption, and so on. According to the law, the Prosecutor General's Office conclude agreements on rendering legal assistance on combating crime, participate the drafting of international treaties. Let me show you an example for our contractual legal activity. You might be aware that in 2019, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution that created an ad hoc committee to elaborate a comprehensive international convention on countering the use of informational and communication technologies for criminal purposes. This resolution was adopted at the initiative of Russia. The draft multilateral convention introduced to the ad hoc committee by Russia was drafted by the Prosecutor General's Office as a leading agency on this issue in our country. The initiative to elaborate such a convention was generated by the practice of international cooperation on IT crimes, which demonstrated law effectiveness of existing mechanism of crime detection, identification of guilty persons, and bringing them to justice. The problem is also in difference of approaches to the criminalization, in the complicated procedures that make examination of MLA requests a lengthy process, and non-legalization of many aspects by the existing international treaties. Politicized refusals to execute Russian requests by Western countries are also a problem. Unfortunately, today, the world community doesn't have a unified approach to the resolution of these problems. There is even no unified terminological basis. That is why we believe that the adoption of such a convention is extremely important for the whole world. To carry out direct communications and cooperation with the foreign competent authorities and international organizations, The Prosecutor General's Office conclude agreements, memoranda, protocols, declarations, cooperation programs, and other arrangements. And as you always saw in our video presentation, there are more than 140 such arrangements, about 150 now. Among priority issues of international activity of the Russian Prosecution Service reflected in such arrangements, I can stress out countering IT crime, terrorism, extremism, corruption, money laundering, including with the illegal use of cryptocurrency and other virtual assets, domestic violence, especially against minors, other violations of children's rights, environmental crimes, protection of socially vulnerable groups of people, entrepreneurs, and of course, restoration victims' rights, including by asset recovery. As for these arrangements, they provide for the following forms of cooperation: exchange of experience, best practice, information, and documents, holding joint international events, including conferences, working meetings, seminars, roundtables, coordination of the positions and joint actions on multilateral international fora, consultations at all stages of preparation and examination of requests for extradition and MLA, making requests for law enforcement assistance, capacity building, of course, and joint legal education of public, for example, by organization of international legal contest. It's important to note that considering wide competence of the Russian Prosecution Service, we conclude international arrangements not only with foreign prosecution services, but also with the ministries of justice, ministries of defense, ministries of internal affairs, and judicial authorities. And having account the central role of the Russian Prosecution Service in implementation of anti-corruption legislation, starting from last year, we began to conclude international arrangements also with foreign specialized anti-corruption authorities, in particular those of Iraq, Kazakhstan, Myanmar, and Saudi Arabia. So, as you can witness, international cooperation of the Russian Prosecution Service is multidimensional and actively developing area. It can be concluded that at the present time, international cooperation is one of the priority directions of the Russian Prosecution Service activity, and its autonomous function, along with supervision over execution of laws, prosecution in courts, and coordination of activity of law enforcement bodies on combating crime. And then I'd like to express my confidence in the further development of Russian-Tanzanian law enforcement cooperation, the basis of which are the friendly relations between the peoples of our nations. As our Prosecutor General, Igor Krasnov, always say, criminals have no nationality. So we have to struggle crimes together. Dear colleagues, thank you for your attention, and on behalf of the Russian delegation, let me once again express my deep gratitude for perfect organization of these lectures that allowed us exchange our experience on activity of our offices. Asante ni sana.
Позвольте обращаться к Сергею Вадим как Сережа. If you were in Russia, this is how I would pronounce his first name. Not Sergei, but Seryoja. мы... talking Russia again. Now we are inviting Andrei Anatolievich из 3 он последний, но не по важности. Kati ya watatu waliozungumza huyu ni wa mwisho lakini sio kwa umuhimu. Kwa sababu ni watatu kwa hada umuhimu. Yeah. Andrei Anatolievich is a lawyer again. A graduate of St. Petersburg Law Institute of the Prosecutor kwamba DPP wa Urusi yeye ana taasisi zake za mafunzo. Kwa hiyo wana level mpaka sio tu ya kwa hiyo ni wahitimu wa
I had a criminal case where more than 5 million victims suffered from different countries of the world.
Криптовалюты активно используются также при совершении традиционных преступлений.
Cryptocurrency is also very popular when criminals commit traditional crimes.
Например, порядка 95% случаев оплаты наркотиков осуществляются при помощи криптовалют.
For example, criminals pay for drugs, for narcotic drugs, using cryptocurrency.
Криптовалюты используются террористами для оплаты услуг наемников.
It is also used by terrorists to pay for the services.
Вот были случаи, выявлялись, когда криптовалюты являлись платой за убийство людей.
There were cases when cryptocurrency was used to pay money for those who killing people.
Поэтому сотрудники
for law enforcement authorities to get knowledge about cryptocurrency, to see how it works.
Широко распространена практика использования криптовалют при организации экстремистских актов.
Cryptocurrency is also used by extremists.
При допуске криптовалют государство рискует потерять свою финансовую систему.
There is a danger that the state can lose its payment system.
Потому что налоги можно будет тогда не платить.
Because nobody will pay taxes.
И вот в связи с этим в феврале 2022 года в России была принята концепция регулирования криптовалют, которая предполагает прежде всего лицензирование данной деятельности, идентификацию пользователей программ криптовалют, использование технологии прозрачный блокчейн, затрудняющий маскировку следов проведения операций, а также при необходимости введения уголовной ответственности за злоупотребление в этой сфере.
Okay, in February 2022, the Russian government drafted the concept of state regulation of mechanisms of the turnover of digital currency. To implement the concept, the following measures are suggested: licensing, identification of users of crypto exchange programs, the use of transparent exchange technology that makes it difficult to camouflage the traces of crypto transactions, introduction of criminal liability if needed for the refusal to declare digital currency exchange transactions.
Для того, чтобы разобраться с этим вопросом, необходимо понять суть технологии блокчейн.
To understand how it works, we need to understand what blockchain technology is.
Надо сказать, что информация о криптовалютах может, с которыми сталкиваться Россия, получение ее от криптовалютных бирж или обменников.
Well, how Russian prosecutors obtain information on cryptocurrency? Well, firstly, through interaction with crypto stocks and crypto exchangers.
Получение ее в результате работы с традиционными доказательствами в ходе осмотра места происшествия, жилища, изъятия документов.
By very traditional methods like search and seizure, operative and search activities, examination of the places where the crime was committed.
Использование специальных программ, которые позволяют выстроить графы исследования криптовалютных транзакций.
Structuring and correlating information of Crafts programs.
Отождествление IP-адресов и аккаунтов в социальных сетях.
Tracing IP addresses and those in social networks.
Анализ цифровых следов. Я поясню. Когда человек работает за компьютером, вот с какой скоростью он нажимает на клавиши, какие обычно используют, его индивидуализируют полностью. И можно примерно предположить, что вот один и тот же сайт посещал один и тот же человек за счет этого.
Digital fingerprint analysis. What I mean is that every particular person has its own pattern of use of computer. He or she usually uses these or that schemes of entering the internet and using those resources in the internet. So it is quite easier for law enforcement to identify the concrete person that use this or that website.
Ну и, соответственно, анализ покупок в интернете.
And of course, shopping deal analysis in internet.
В основе технологии интернет, блокчейн лежит вопросы, связанные с введением распределенного реестра хранения информации о транзакциях.
At the center of the blockchain technology is the
Занимается биткоин, занимает порядка 400 гигабайт информации. Она поместится в любой телефон.
Bitcoin grossbook is 400 kilobytes. It can be kept on any mobile phone, actually.
И единственное, она постоянно изменяется, потому что в секунду проходит сотни различных транзакций. Поэтому должно быть хорошее программное обеспечение, чтобы успевать отслеживать эти транзакции. Так называемые изображения блоков, отсюда используется понятие блокчейн.
In front of you, you can see here on the screen the blocks. That is why the name blockchain technology was created from this.
Каждый раз, когда наша книга блокчейна изменяется в связи с переводом денежных средств, ей автоматически присваивается специальный код, называемый хэшем.
Every time there is a transaction, amendments are introduced into the grossbook, and this is so-called hash technology.
И вот хэш позволяет как раз обеспечить невозможность подделать данные о владельце криптокошельков и о сумме, которая у него находится на счету.
So every time new transaction happens, the block has a new coding, hash technology, and this hash technology helps, does not allow to alter the information about the owner.
И майнинг, про который все говорят, как раз и заключается в том, чтобы подобрать большой хэш для множества маленьких хэшей, которые мы получили в результате фиксирования каждой транзакции.
And the mining technology means to get a big hash for a lot of small hashes.
И вот как раз за счет вот этой особенности мы можем с точностью до секунды определить, когда, куда денежные средства по криптовалютному блокчейну перечислялись.
And using this very technology, we can trace where and when the money were transferred.
Для этого используется, для облегчения этого процесса используется понятие холодный и горячий криптокошелек.
For this sense, we use such terminology as the hot and cold crypto wallets.
Итак, что же это такое, холодный криптокошелек? Это как раз вот сведения о количестве денежных средств, которые находятся у конкретного владельца и которые получаются в результате анализа всего блокчейна.
So what is called crypto wallet is. This is all information about the owner of cryptocurrency, and okay.
И в настоящее время для облегчения его использования применяются специальные флешки, которые заказываются через интернет и стоят порядка $100.
And to use it, people use just flash drivers, which you can buy everywhere. It costs up to $100.
Но, уважаемые коллеги, теперь вы относитесь к 5% населения Земли, которые знают про эту ситуацию.
Well, dear audience, congratulations. You are in 5% of people in the world who knows this information now.
Большинство тех, кто интересуется криптовалютами, про это не знает и приобретает криптовалюты на криптовалютных биржах.
And the majority of people who are dealing with cryptocurrency, they do not know this information, and they buy cryptocurrency on the crypto stocks.
А криптовалютная биржа – это небольшой набор вещей.
And cryptocurrency is the selection of a number of items.
Это банковская карта, куда клиенты перечисляют деньги.
It's a banking card where people transfer their money.
Это сайт в сети интернет.
This is a website.
И это холодный криптокошелек стоимостью $100.
And it's a cold crypto wallet amounting to $100.
И вот вы представляете, что люди приходят на криптовалютную биржу, перечисляют свои заработанные деньги, а в ответ получают только запись на сайте. Никто им холодный криптокошелек не передает.
So just imagine people are going to crypto stock, they transfer their money. There is only registration about the transaction, and nobody gives them a cold crypto wallet in their hands.
И криптовалютные биржи могут в связи с этим делать, что хотят.
And so crypto stocks can do everything.
Мы фиксировали факты, когда крупнейшие биржи в один прекрасный момент снимали по $10 тысяч у своих клиентов.
There were examples when crypto stocks withdrawn money of their clients in sums like tens of thousands of dollars.
А в один прекрасный момент одна самая крупная биржа в мире, MTGOX, она находилась в Японии, полностью потеряла все свое имущество.
And once Antigops crypto stock, which was located in Japan, in 1 minute lost all its property, all its assets.
Были похищены денежные средства всех клиентов. Каким образом? Специалисты в области компьютерной информации, хакеры, получили доступ к одному единственному холодному криптокошельку этой биржи.
So a lot of people lost their money because hackers got the key to one of the cold wallets kept on this crypto stock.
Поэтому в мире очень распространена практика выпуска новых криптовалют и собиранием денежных средств в рамках инвестиций от граждан, а с последующим хищением этих денежных средств.
So there is a practice when new cryptocurrency is issued, collected as investments from the citizens, and after that they are just stealing the money of the citizens.
И в связи с этим правоохранительным органам удается, российским правоохранительным органам, используя вот эти знания, обрабатывать информацию о всех хищениях денежных средств при помощи криптокошельков.
So, knowing this information, Russian law enforcement are quite comfortable with finding information on how money are stolen from their owners.
Зная, каким образом совершаются покупки при помощи криптовалют, мы можем следить все следы этих приобретений.
Knowing the system of stealing of cryptocurrency from citizens, knowing how it works, it is easier for us to prevent it.
Мы можем получить информацию о криптокошельках в результате их обнаружения. В России создана специальная программа, которая за секунду может найти их в любом компьютере.
We can find information on crypto wallets during examination. There is a special software in Russia that is used by law enforcement and which helps to find a crypto wallet on a computer in 1 second.
Мы можем их получить от других правоохранительных органов.
We can also get this information from other law enforcement authorities.
Получить ее в ходе проведения прокурорских проверок.
We can receive this information during the prosecutorial inspections.
А также от других правоохранительных контролирующих органов.
And also we can obtain this information from other controlling authorities.
И вот таким образом выглядит схематично работа российских правоохранительных органов, информация об использовании криптовалют. Перед вами наименование участников профессиональных крипторынка.
On the left side, you can see the names of most popular crypto stocks in the world.
И вот технология прозрачный блокчейн позволяет с точностью до секунды понять, откуда пришли те или иные криптовалюты и куда они ушли.
So transparent blockchain technology helps to understand where money came from, where they were transferred.
У нас в университете прокуроры участвуют в специальных лабораторных учебных занятиях, где они обучаются использованию специальной программы.
For example, in our university, we provide special training in laboratories for prosecutors where they trained how to use special software in this sphere.
Как мы это делаем? Мы находим криптокошелек в сети интернет, куда, например, предлагаются перечислить деньги на поддержку экстремистов.
For example, we find a crypto wallet in the internet which says, please invest money in me for extremist activity.
Дальше достаточно только лишь данные этого криптокошелька ввести в поисковую строку.
We should take the data about this crypto wallet and to insert it into the search.
И перед вами появится вот такая картина графа, где вы можете посмотреть, куда денежные средства приходили. Причем круглыми такими значками обозначены криптобиржи и обменники.
So you have to take this data about this crypto wallet to insert it into the special software, and you will have such a graph. And round graphs you will see here. They show different crypto stocks, crypto exchangers.
Наша программа «Прозрачный блокчейн», которая Росфинмониторингом, может работать с любой криптовалютой.
And the Russian Financial Intelligence Unit, so-called Rosfinmonitoring, and it can be used in relation to any cryptocurrency.
После этого прокурор направляет запрос на криптобиржу и получает данные о владельце криптокошелька.
After that, the prosecutor sends information to a crypto stock about this crypto wallet and gets information on the owner.
Причем распространение программы позволило, по сути, изменить такую практику совершения компьютерных преступлений в мире.
Distribution of this software helped to improve the situation with cybercrime in the world.
Если раньше хакеры предпочитали, ну, которые взламывают крупнейшие корпорации, получать денежные средства в криптовалюте,
Earlier, world-famous hackers tried to get their achievement payments in cryptocurrency.
то сейчас они от этого отказались, потому что в программе их вот эти такие грязные денежные средства хорошо видно.
Now every law enforcement can see the dirty money kept on their crypto wallet. We'll have no business with them.
И у нас в настоящее время ставится вопрос о том, чтобы включить официальные криптобиржи именно в рамках международного сотрудничества в процедуру борьбы с отмыванием. И сейчас такая практика есть, когда отказ от сотрудничества с правоохранительными органами приводит к выписыванию значительных штрафов.
And now there are some examples when the refusal to cooperate with us led to administration responsibility to the fees that were introduced against the actor who decided not to cooperate.
В настоящее время ведется работа по развитию программы, и в частности мы наблюдаем такое соревнование, как броня и снаряд.
Now this program is being continued developing. Yeah.
И вот в виде примера, иллюстрации приведу работу злоумышленников, которые пытаются скрыть информацию о транзакциях.
There is an example when a fugitive, a criminal, trying to conceal the information.
За счет использования технологии миксера, когда пытаются вывода криптовалют из ведома правоохранительных органов.
That is why special algorithms are being elaborated in Russia in order not to allow criminals to withdraw money abroad in cryptocurrency.
И перед вами как раз и те способы, которые мы используем.
And these are the tools that we use for this ends.
Ну и, уважаемые коллеги, конечно же, Сергей Владимирович Плохов уже говорил про то, что противодействовать современным вызовам цифровизации невозможно без разработки универсального международного акта по этому вопросу.
Well, as my colleague Mr. Plokhov has already said, it is impossible to counter this program without drafting a comprehensive universal act that will help us.
И вот в связи с этим в университете прокуратуры было проведено исследование по вопросу собирания электронных доказательств, которое в конце концов превратилось вот в такую вот монографию, называемую «Собирание электронных доказательств в России и за рубежом».
And in our university of the prosecutor's office of the Russian Federation, we made a research on gathering electronic evidence, digital evidence. And there is a monography I can show you here that upon results of this scientific research.
Она переведена на английский язык и презентована в ООН на заседании специального комитета по разработке универсальной конвенции.
It was created by our university and it was firstly shown during the ad hoc committee on comprehensive international convention.
Вы можете ознакомиться с ней также, скачав с официального сайта ООН, но мы с удовольствием передадим ее в юридическую школу.
And apart from that, it was also published on the official website of the United Nations organization, but I will leave it here to you, and you will get a chance to get acquainted with that.
Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Уважаемые коллеги, разрешите несколько слов сказать об университете прокуратуры, и вот если можно поменять презентацию.
Okay, just a second, I have this presentation. Yeah, this is the presentation about the university. Dear colleagues, if you allow me, let me please tell you a little about the University of Prosecutors Office of the Russian Federation.
Уважаемые коллеги, буквально вот пока загружается презентация, хочу сказать, что университет прокуратуры является единственным в стране учебным заведением, которое специализируется на подготовке прокуроров.
Well, to start with, I should mention that the university is the Prosecutor General's Office of the Russian Federation.
Она включает, университет включает в себя несколько площадок.
And the university has a few branch offices around Russia.
В Иркутске, Казани, Крыму.
In Irkutsk, in Kazani, in Crimea.
В Санкт-Петербурге.
St. Petersburg.
На Дальнем Востоке и в Луганске.
In Far East and in Lugansk.
Как видите, практически по всей территории страны мы имеем свои филиалы, которые занимаются обучением прокуроров.
So you can see that almost across all Russia we have branch offices that help to prepare future prosecutors.
Ну, я повторю слова нашего ректора Игоря Михайловича Мацкевича, который является главным ученым секретарем Высшей аттестационной комиссии Министерства образования и науки.
Well, I can provide you with the words of Mr. Machkevich, the principal of this university, a world-famous scientist.
Над университетом никогда не заходит солнце.
Sun always shines over the university.
Когда во Владивостоке уже вечер, на западе страны уже утро.
When it is already night in Vladivostok, in the western part of Russia, it's morning.
И Игорь Михайлович Мацкевич, я хочу сказать, является авторитетнейшим ученым, который возглавляет аттестацию всех научных кадров страны.
And Mr. Machkevich, the principal of the university, is the chairman of the commission that attests all the scientists in Russia.
Без его подписи не может быть присвоена ни одна ученая степень, будь то доктора технических наук, биологических или иных.
No scientific reward can be given to a person. For example, a person cannot become a doctor in law without his signature.
Надо сказать, что вот здесь на слайде видно, что в университете проводится большая работа по развитию своего фонда, материального фонда. И вот перед вами такой замок, это здание Дальневосточного юридического института, филиала университета.
On this screen you can see the building of our university, of the branch office of our university in Vladivostok.
Причем этому зданию, филиалу, всего 4 года.
And only for 4 years we have been located, the branch office in Vladivostok have been located in this building for 4 years only.
Научная деятельность университета связана с постоянным пополнением фонда библиотечного точечными исследованиями по различным направлениям.
Scientific activity of our university is closely related to providing new monographies, new books to our library on specific issues of prosecutorial activity.
Особенно в этом плане богаты традиции Санкт-Петербургского института, филиала.
And in these terms, St. Petersburg branch office made a lot of contributions into this sphere.
Который ведет свою историю с следственной школы, созданной из студентов.
We try to provide the most practical education to our students.
Надо сказать, что в нашем университете особое внимание уделяется вопросам исследования по защите окружающей среды.
I should say that in our university we pay much attention to environmental protection issues.
На этом специализируется иркутский филиал, который находится на берегу озера Байкал.
Irkutsk branch office of the university, which is located on the famous Baikal Lake, is specializing in this sphere.
И Байкал является самым известным, наверное, озером в мире, как наиболее большой резервуар питьевой воды. Из него просто можно пить. И когда озеро замерзает, то вы можете увидеть сквозь лед дно.
Baikal Lake is one of the most famous lakes in the world because it is a huge reservoir of fresh water. You can just take water from there and drink it.
Надо сказать, что в настоящее время университет активно пополняет свою библиотеку. Помимо дореволюционной литературы, постоянно идет обновление фонда за счет новых поступлений, в том числе и на иностранных языках.
In our university, we have a unique library that comprises very old literature and a new one, even in foreign languages.
В иностранные фонды литературы.
Our library cooperates with the All Russian State Library, which provides digital literature for our university.
И вы просто, находясь в университете, можете получить доступ более чем миллиону книг.
So you can get remote access to millions of books.
В настоящее время вот перед вами как раз проводится работа по переводу на английский язык ключевых исследований, и как раз перед вами монография, про которую я уже упоминал.
In front of you can see the monography that I have already mentioned, because we actively dealing with the translation of different famous works into Russian.
В университете издаются различные периодические издания, и прежде всего Вестник университета, который в настоящее время является авторитетнейшим изданием на русском языке в России. Оно входит в первый квартал специальных научных изданий.
In front of you is the bulletin of the University of the Prosecutor's Office. Our university publishes a lot of books, monographies, and different works that are very authoritative, that are very reputable.
В состав редколлегии входят не только ведущие ученые страны, но и представители зарубежных вузов.
And editorial boards include not only Russian scientists, but also foreign scientists as well.
У нас есть практика публикации в Вестнике статей наших зарубежных коллег, друзей, партнеров.
There are a lot of examples when we published the articles by our foreign colleagues in this bulletin.
Например, вот буквально недавно была опубликована статья генерального прокурора Королевства Таиланд, которая пользуется громадной популярностью в научной среде.
For example, quite recently, an article by the Attorney General of the Kingdom of Thailand, Naritanta Satien, was published in this book, and she is a very popular scientist among the Thai audience.
И мы были бы рады, если бы вы прислали ваши статьи, и мы бы их с удовольствием опубликовали, и был бы признателен, если бы наши хозяева, те, кто нас здесь встречает, откликнулись на данное предложение.
And dear colleagues, I will appreciate very much if you send us your articles, and we will publish them in our bulletin of the university.
Надо сказать, что в университете в настоящее время проходит обучение по следующим направлениям. Мы готовим буквально вчерашних школьников, которые через 5 лет обучения в университете становятся прокурорами.
So we prepare future prosecutors for 5 years in our university.
И для того, чтобы стать прокурором, достаточно лишь обучиться у нас в университете.
So to become a prosecutor, it will be enough to get higher education at our university.
Для сравнения, если кто-то закончит другой вуз, то он должен будет сдавать экзамен для поступления в прокуратуру и получать специальный балл на психологическом тестировании.
For example, if a person gets his higher lower legal education in another university, and if he or she wants to work at the prosecutor's office, he or she will need to go through exam and psychological testing.
Это связано с тем, что работа прокурора является очень сложной и ответственной. И в нашей стране налажена система психологического отбора для тех, кто в будущем будет прокурором. Все, кто работает в российской прокуратуре, прошли специальный отбор.
Why we have psychological tests? Because the work of a prosecutor is extremely complicated, and in Russia all prosecutors undergo through this psychological selection.
В университете уделяется особое внимание воспитательной или патриотической работе со студентов, помощи населению.
Apart from that, we pay a lot of attention to patriotic education of our students, and we teach them how to cooperate with the public, the publicity.
Дело в том, что если мы возьмем обычный вуз юридический, то, как правило, многие юристы, которые обучаются в нем, они имеют приоритет, может быть, на получение, на зарабатывание денежных средств.
In comparison to other legal institutes that provide higher education in law, their students may be motivated by the money, the payments.
Если будет такая мотивировка у прокурора, он не сможет работать. Его рано или поздно посадят просто.
It will be impossible for a prosecutor to work with such a motivation for money. He will get behind bars.
Поэтому основная задача университета видится в воспитании прокурора, который будет работать, делать все для помощи гражданам.
That is why, as the core aim, we see the training of these students in such a way that they could help people, not being motivated by money.
Этим университет отличается от любого гражданского вуза.
This is the main difference of our university from other legal universities.
И в настоящее время в университете проводится работа по обучению студентов из-за рубежа.
We also have education. We also provide education for foreign students.
И помимо этого мы активно работаем по линии сотрудничества с нашими иностранными коллегами относительно обучения уже действующих прокуроров в университете.
And we also provide advanced training courses for already active prosecutors from different countries.
Университет открыт для сотрудничества, и существует практика заключения прямых соглашений с вузами других стран.
The University of the Prosecutor's Office is open for cooperation, and we also conclude direct arrangements with our foreign colleagues.
И я не вижу никаких препятствий для того, чтобы не рассмотреть этот вопрос о заключении такого соглашения между университетом и юридической школой.
And I see no obstacles. To the possibility of examination, of conclusion of agreements between the University of Prosecutor's Office and Law School of Tanzania.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, as we say, Mheshimiwa Waziri, as we say in Kiswahili, tumekula mbuzi amebaki mkia tu. So my request is that let us be calm. In a few minutes' time, we will be done. Which is what now? On the timetable, the substantive issue that remains here is for us to hear from our moderators, to hear from Professor Majamba, to hear from Mr. of the not Mashamba, Kisa, but also our colleague from the National Prosecutor. That is what is remaining. Is a barely last for 15 minutes. Now, but before that, let us quickly do two things. Quickly, very, very quickly. The first one is to thank the speakers, and we'll do that in a style that is Tanzanian. We'll do that in a style that is Tanzanian. We'll do that. So please don't get surprised what we are going to do next. Это мы просто хотим выражать нашу благодарность за полученное богатство знаний, но по-нашему. Будем делать это по-нашему. Kwa hiyo tutakachofanya, tutawapashia, alafu tutapiga makofi mara 1, 2, 3. Sawa? Tumeelewana? Ili waone wakumbuke kwamba kuna nchi walikwenda, kuna kitu fulani cha ajabu. Sawa? Huko kwa hiyo naomba sasa. Pasha. Makofi. The second thing, which barely will last another 5 minutes, is to invite a representative of the Tanzanian institution, which has been given the task to lead the nation in how to deal with the issue of cryptocurrency. He will take the floor for no more than 3 minutes. Yeah, he will be done, and therefore we'll be able now to move on to our last event, which would be to hear from our 3 moderators. So the representative, Gilbert Nyombi. Please.
Honorable Minister Ambassador Pindichana, Honorable Ambassador Andre, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I salute you in the name of the United Republic of Tanzania. My name is Gilbert Nyombi. I am Assistant Commissioner in the Financial Intelligence Unit. For those of you who don't know the Financial Intelligence Unit, or FIU, we are responsible for combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and professional financing. And this issue of, I'm going to talk a bit about cryptocurrency in 1 minute, and I'll be done. This issue is here in Tanzania also. Cryptocurrencies are also in Tanzania, and at the Financial Intelligence Unit, we have already started looking at this matter. Not only that, Her Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, she did last year she tasked us, all of us, stakeholder institutions, to look at this matter of cryptocurrency as what this all is about. So at the FIU, we have started looking at the issue of cryptocurrency. We call it virtual assets. When you are combating money laundering, terrorist financing, professional financing, these things to do with cryptocurrencies, we call them virtual assets. So what are we doing? In collaboration with Bank of Tanzania, Capital Markets and Securities Authority, and 31 other stakeholder institutions from the public and private sector institutions in Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar, we are doing what we call a risk assessment. A risk assessment in money laundering and terrorist financing. And we're looking at this. We are using the World Bank methodology to look at, to do the risk assessment in order to determine the way forward. So we are, after looking at the risk assessment, which we intend to, we think we'll be done with it by November this year, we will be able to advise on the way forward, because the government has not articulated itself appropriately as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned, but the Bank of Tanzania did issue a warning, sort of like beware when dealing with cryptocurrencies, and Tanzanians are using cryptos. Tanzania is actually the 6th country in Africa using cryptocurrency. So if you're not using it, there are people out there, especially people from university and colleges and all that, they do use cryptocurrency. So we are looking at this, and the greatest challenge in using cryptos is when people are able to transact anonymously without being known. Because when we combat money laundering, terrorist financing, professional financing, we want to know who is transacting. We do customer due diligence. The danger with this, and we are very thankful to the presenter, he did raise this issue, that the danger is for when people when they transact anonymously. So we are very thankful for the presenters, and especially on this topic on cryptocurrencies. We have learned a lot. There is a lot of takeaways from this. We hope that we are going to be able to contact them to learn more, because this is just an eye-opener. So this is very useful to us, and we have learned a lot, and we are going to benefit a lot from it. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Nyombi, Gilbert Nyombi. Again, the last speaker, we should thank him again, because apparently we have graduated. We are part now of the 5% of the global population. Out of the global population of 8 billion, we are 5% of the 8 billion who are aware about crypto. So once again, thank you so much. I want us to take this opportunity to stand up and stretch our legs a bit. Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, to stretch, yeah. We stretch our arms so that we get back. Yeah. Kwa hiyo nachowaomba, may I request the discussants to come forward, right? To come forward, take their seats, and we want them just to do two things. to draw our attention to the key things that were presented in the three respective presentations. So the key things, the key important things, one, but also if they have any additional queries, they want some explanations, they want some details from the speakers before they leave this hall, before they leave the country. So please, may I ask our discussants, and let's introduce them, by the way. Professor Hamudi Majamba is the first one, followed by Mr. Faraja Nchimbi, right? And thirdly, Kisa Kiwara. Now, many of you, of course, already know. Yeah, we may be seated. Yeah, please be seated if you wish. Right. Professor Mudi Majamba is already known to you as an instructor here at this school, but also as a former dean. What many of us overlook that Professor Majamba is only the second person to serve 2 consecutive terms as dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Dar es Salaam. Yeah, only 2 so far, right? In the entire history. Yeah, and also by the way, since we're trainees, you must always aim high, right? Every soldier should dream to becoming a general, right? Also aim to be like Majamba, because he's one of those handful of alumni of the University of Dar es Salaam Faculty of Law to have been awarded a first-class LLB. So that's your discussant number 1. The second discussant sitting right at the middle is Mr. Faraja Nchimbi, right? He is part of the Office of the National Prosecutions, right? He has worked closely in this area, working very, very closely with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, right? The International Institute of Criminal Justice, right? So he's someone who's worked, he has spent years in the office of the DPP. Kisa Kiwara is known to the trainee advocate because he's the acting head department of practical training. I've worked with him elsewhere in the area of international humanitarian law. Both me and him belong to an association, an East African Association of Lecturers who teach international humanitarian law. So we've met in those circles. So now we will ask them each, right? We'll give them 5-10 minutes, right? 5-10 minutes to bring out the key issues, right, that were in the presentation, each of the presentation. But also, if there is something that they wished the speakers should have addressed and they didn't, then things of that nature, right? Things of that nature. I think it will assist us. Now, once we are done with it, we will be over for the day. And then of course, and then discussions, obviously, but generally this session is meant for that, right? We hear from the discussants, followed by questions and answers, and ultimately the deputy permanent secretary will be invited to tell us that whether we should continue until tomorrow or we should close for today. Karibu.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the presenters. I will not belabor to repeat what you stated. It was very clear. So I'll just go straight to pointing out issues, and in the process there will be some questions that must be addressed. They must be discussed in this kind of forum. You cannot avoid it. I'll come to that later. So first and foremost, in terms of the arrangement of prosecutor's office, we realize that our colleagues there do not have the civil system. So you have Attorney General. You mentioned that. You mentioned about Attorney General, but the word is prosecutor's office. This prosecutor also deals with civil cases, unlike what we have here. I think that's quite clear. Okay. Then there is the issue of, and here I'm summarizing. I will not go specifically, but here I'm talking about KUNEV. There were some issues of cooperation in terms of the agreements and at the international perspective. So what will come out clearly here, and I think some of the challenges are that you are telling us, and we are realizing that increasingly recently, we are facing, from Russia, we are facing opposition from the Western Bloc. Of course, because of the war of Ukraine. That is the problem. So you are also a member, Russia is also a member of the UN. We've seen the evidence in terms of the offices they've been arranging with and etc. But at the same time, as prosecutor's office, maybe something we should tell us about is that you have dealt with the International Court of Justice. Sometime in January 2020, France took a case, a matter to the ICJ, and the ICJ came up with a ruling. So what part did the office play, and what is the role of the prosecutor's office vis-a-vis the decisions of the ICJ generally, but more specifically when it comes to the issue of the Russian-Ukrainian situation that we know of? I think I would not leave that out, definitely. So there's also the other thing about the institution. We are very, very grateful that you have a special prosecutor's office. In Tanzania, we are now grappling with what you're saying, things to do with making sure you have criminal justice system that is efficient and effective. Kwa Kiswahili, haki inai, very timely. There's a lot we can learn from you. You also, in the institution, you're inculcating into your citizens the issue of patriotism. We have challenges, I would say this even in the DPP's office. There are complaints about corruption, complaints about cases not going right, issues about plea bargaining and things didn't go correct. So issues of plea bargaining, for example, how do you guys go about it? This has been grappling with us here for quite some time. Saying maybe we should go about it, maybe we should not. Srioji, I think Plokov, we are very grateful about the assets recovery challenges. Our legal system has just been developed, and we're also grappling with asset recovery issues across the spectrum, and more of these cases will be coming up. Cryptocurrency, I will not discuss it because it's been addressed quite a lot. There is another that you mentioned in terms of prosecution, and yeah, you mentioned the chief military court. That is synonymous to us. Maybe the court martial. We're not very sure, but it also did not discuss much about it in terms of your engagement. I could see in some of the shots, you people dressed like military people, if I'm not mistaken. And that could also be a lesson in terms of the patriotism, but also in terms of the benefits that you derive from
that is the Russian Prosecutor General. That is an honor to me, and back to the assignment that have been given, and in the interest of time, we were going through the first topic, which relied heavily on giving us an insight on the powers and functions of the Office of the Prosecutor General in the Republic of Republic of Russia. Some of the key aspects that I found them very pertinent is the fact that the office is very much keen in making sure that human rights standards, human rights standards are there too. Initially, as the presentation was going on, I was a bit worried when it came to light Prosecutor General's Office of Russia also has a very close connection with the military prosecution affairs, and that came to my it clicked to my mind as to how we balance interests of human rights and prosecution issues. But again, from this very clear presentation, it is clear that issues of human rights are the functions of the Office of the Prosecutor General. Is the fact that there is a clear focus on the protection of the rights of vulnerable groups and defend them in prosecutorial issues in court. This is very important because also this is an area which is a bit challenging in our jurisdiction, whereas we grapple to make sure that these vulnerable groups do acquire sufficient protection measures from the state, and we as prosecutors has a high role to play in this. Coming to generally, I would say the presentation has given us a lot of things to think about, things that we can use to improve our existing organizational structures and systems that pertain to prosecution. And I must say it has come at a very high time, where is the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Honorable Samia Suluhu Hassan, is in a quest of making sure that there is reforms in the manner which the institutions that undertakes issues that relate to administration of criminal justice are well organized in a way that they can properly serve the citizens. So I believe very much that the presentation that is made today will give us a lot to borrow and use in the process of our reforms. But also, the National Prosecution Services, to which I hail from, was officially established in the year 2018. Before then, it was a division within the Office of the Attorney General of the United Republic of Tanzania. Now, coming 2018, a special establishment order was issued, whereas the National Prosecution Service became an independent and autonomous office which deals with the mandate of coordinating, overseeing all matters relating to prosecution. But now, coming 5 years, we're in the process of one being in the areas relating to asset forfeiture. You have given very good examples of the achievements that you have had in the forfeiture sphere. Now, the first one, I would need clarification of the mechanism that are in place in Russia for the management of restrained assets and the challenges that you face, because this is also one of the biggest challenges that we are facing here. We do a lot of forfeitures, yes, but when it comes to management of the assets, there are a lot of challenges that are attributed to it. But I would also wish to hear from your side on the federal policy on sharing of forfeited assets located abroad. You know, this is also a requirement of the International Convention on the International Convention against Transnational Organized Crime, whereas in the areas of forfeiture, member states are encouraged at least to get into sharing agreements of the assets that are forfeited abroad, and you highlighted that a lot on the good work. I so wish to get an insight on the asset forfeiture regimes that are in place in Russia, at least highlighting the advantages and the disadvantages of each. Here in Tanzania, we focus very much on conviction-based forfeiture. We are not yet into civil forfeiture or non-conviction-based forfeiture. Now, I'd wish to hear from your side between these two regimes, which you think is the most effective and what we can do to get there. Now, the last question would be on the disposal of forfeited assets. You have pointed, like you had a number of assets that have been forfeited. We would also wish to get a good practice from your side, how these forfeited assets are disposed in terms of distribution. You pointed like having forfeited more than 400 million US dollars, if I'm not mistaken. How is that money used at your judiciary? And last, that pertains to the international cooperation, especially in the aspect of extradition. I'd wish to get your views on the position of Russia with regard to the extradition of your nationals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Pinchana, and Honorable criminal offense to do that offense. So we are kind of in between there. Of course, it has not been illegalized, but the bank has not declared it as a legal tender. So in other words, what I want to point out here is the risk analysis which Mr. Njombe mentioned. We have to address some few things, and one including them is who owns it, who owns the cryptocurrency, and the second one is what will be the terms of the contract, if there are any, before we get in there. And the third one is, will there be any possibility of someone using cryptocurrency in a contract to recover his money? So I would like to address those issues when we are dealing with the risk analysis. We see whether are we ready to go for it. Of course, they've mentioned it very clearly, the last speaker, that in Russia they have very sophisticated software. Are we there yet to have that sophisticated software? Because the more sophisticated software you have, the hacker they become more sophisticated. It's a war. It's a war. It's like a cat and mouse chasing. I think that's the way how it works. So when you update yourself, they also update themselves. So that's another risk which we should look at it and see whether we are ready to get into this business of cryptocurrency. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think what we should do next, two concurrent things before we come to an end, which is to allow trainee advocates to raise any question which is outside of the questions that have already been raised and discussed, outside of this, if you have any. So you'll be given an opportunity to raise two. After which now we will invite now the presenters to address the concerns, the remarks, the observations of the discussants. And that will bring us to the end of today's session. So, trainee advocates, you have any questions? Or you've waved? You have. unaanza wewe, anakuja kumaliza yule. Sawa, tumemaliza na trainee advocates, and then the ball will pass on to the presenters.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. Actually, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a doctor and I'm an accountant. So my name is CPA Sandra Chogo. A question goes to the presenters. I'm very much into the cryptocurrency. So my question is, do you teach cryptocurrency in universities? By teaching cryptocurrency, does it mean you are somehow encouraging the use of cryptocurrency or not? Because with the experience here, because eventually we need experts, and to get the experts, it needs to be taught in schools, in universities. But by teaching in universities, are we encouraging that? So I get some difficulties here in Tanzania. Cryptocurrency is not being taught in school. We get the knowledge from the informal sources. Yeah, thank you.
Second, thank you. Please, sir. When we teach in criminal law, we discuss this. The SOSPA. Are we abetting crime?
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jafari Hajim Titima, and my question goes to the presenters from the Russian Federation, and it is on the basis of how plea bargaining is conducted in Russia. As the prosecutors, how do they conduct plea bargaining in Russia? Thank you.
So, two issues, right? I did bring this out, that this is something that we would love to hear how Russia is handling, because we have gone in, I think, not moving forward, we're moving backwards into the issue of plea bargaining, with the law without regulations, and then the law is being implemented, and let me not go into that. So if you have anything to say about the issue of plea bargaining in Russia, if it is on the and what is the practice, but also how do we get out of this dilemma to obtain the problem of cryptocurrency is here and here to stay, right? There's no argument about that, and therefore you need experts, you need people knowledgeable, who know what a back chain is, what a hash is, and all those things. But by doing so, you not without intention also encouraging Tanzanians to go into cryptocurrency.
Yes. Микрофон. Спасибо большое за вопросы.
Well, thank you very much for your questions, firstly.
Видно, что вот в Танзании действительно очень серьезные специалисты. Мои